We're here to talk about one of the only constants in life, change. Our team comes from all over the globe, and we have a few things in common. We all work in water, and we're all experiencing change. It's inevitable, and it's not always comfortable. We're going through huge technology changes. We used to have treatment plants where everything was run manually. Now we have plants where everything is run automatically. But we're also dealing with huge changes in the workforce. And we're not just talking about generational changes. We're talking about cultural changes in how we treat each other. These changes are inevitable, so let's talk about how we can start getting comfortable with change.
Thanks, Jonathan. I think we can all agree that the water industry is built on change. And one of the biggest factors impacting the water industry today are environmental and regulatory changes. When the U.S. Clean Drinking Water Act was first put in place in the 1970s, it regulated 22 parameters. Today, nearly 50 years later, that list has grown to include 94 cumulative contaminants. That's an increase of over 400%. When a typical water facility is built to last decades, it's no surprise that operators and engineers can regularly find themselves encountering significant and unexpected change. Another source of change is related to technology. The average water operator was also born in the 1970s, the same decade where the first 8-bit microprocessors were released. Today, a lot has changed. Artificial intelligence, predictive modeling, and advanced analytics are all becoming standard elements of industrial design. All of this accumulates in the need for a water workforce that is adaptive and comfortable with uncertainty. People need to be the fluid element that facilitates this kind of change. Today, sand filter plants from the 1930s are being upgraded to ultrafiltration membrane technology, not only to meet new regulatory requirements, but to allow for the use of remote monitoring and advanced automation to detect and control plant performance. Right now, an operator can log into their plant from their kitchen table, control equipment, and view trends. These kinds of advancements are only going to continue, and we need to keep the workforce engaged in change and moving forward.
One of the biggest changes happening in our industry is generational. Right now we have many people reaching retirement age. It is our task of training the next generation to pick up the torch and move forward into the future. This transfer of knowledge is extremely important because these seasoned professionals have experience that simply cannot be captured on paper. The knowledge these people carry with them took many years of hard work to gain. It is crucial that we pass this knowledge down to the next generation. Now, this can be done through simple mentorship programs, but it is important that we focus on that transfer of knowledge. Let's talk to a seasoned operator and get his perspective on the future.
I've been in wastewater for about 30 years now, and there's two things that I've noticed about this industry. The first thing is growth. Communities always grow, which means capacities of treatment plants need to grow with the communities that they're serving. So the flow that comes into a wastewater plant continues to grow as the community grows. And then the second thing that I've noticed is change. Technology changes. In the 30 years that I've been in this industry, we've gone from pie charts and strip charts to SCADA screens and trending charts that you can see behind me. And I think those are the two things that we can always count on, is that communities will grow and technology will change. When I think about what drew me into this industry 30 years ago, it's because I love being around the water and doing things on the water. Growing up in the Northwest and also living in Hawaii for a while, the things that I enjoyed was always around the water. And I think if we want to bring in the next generation, we need to give them the opportunity to have some ownership in the communities that they live and to have an influence on clean water. And that's what this industry does, is it gives people the opportunity to have a voice. So I think the operator of the future is somebody that's going to be technologically savvy, the ability to understand new technologies and adaptable to change. The thing that I've noticed over 30 years is that change is constant. I think as we look to the future, someone needs to be comfortable with change and the idea that we can always do better.
As noted by previous presenters, we are facing a world which is constantly changing, and we find that there's a need for our workplace to adapt to this. With adaptation comes risk and rewards, and it's how we approach this which will determine how we will succeed. I will let you in on a secret. For us to flourish within this exciting industry, it starts with you and me and the way we work together. Now, in the past, we've had strict hierarchical structures, which work well and serve their purpose, but they're not always effective, and employees can feel less engaged. Delegating to and empowering employees not only eases the burden on management, but it also helps us to take true ownership in our work and builds trust. For us to be innovative and develop a resilient workplace, we need to follow these 3 fundamental steps. Firstly, empower our staff and teams by designing roles which match our abilities with the goals of our employers. Secondly, allow decisions to be made by those in the trenches. And then thirdly, set up small self-managed focus groups which will champion your initiatives. Now, this might sound like a lot of buzzwords, but it implies a work environment where people are filling multiple roles based on their unique skill sets and passions rather than filling a static job title, so that we can create an agile workplace. The foundation of these types of work environments is delegation and trust, so that we're able to empower our staff.
Trust is key when it comes to change. Change takes place within organizations and also within processes, but those who are most impacted by change are people. So how can we get people to be comfortable with change? Well, one thing to consider is what motivates people. For some people, what motivates them is verbal praise. For others, it may be an award. And for still others, it may be financial compensation. Whatever form that recognition takes, though, it's important that it comes from the very highest level of oversight. Now, why is that? Well, it's because when there's a recognition on the part of those who are introducing a change towards the impact that it has on those who are implementing the change, there can be a trust that is built up. Again, trust is key. There has to be trust when a new or a different technology is introduced. There has to be trust between the individuals in oversight and those who are implementing the change, and there also has to be trust when there's a passing along of information, of institutional knowledge. Now, nobody has all the answers, but when we start the conversation and when we think about how we can recognize the efforts of those that are making the change, then at that point, perhaps we can all get comfortable with change.